The chamber pulsed with ancient power, its obsidian walls inscribed with the glowing sigils of 1,000 worlds. Stars hung frozen beyond a vast glass dome overhead, and at the center of it all, Earth hovered like a wound. Blue, green, and burning with artificial light along its night side, it looked more beautiful than dangerous. Most in the council assumed it was a minor world, an evolutionary curiosity, perhaps, but nothing more. That assumption would not survive the next hour. Silence rippled across the great amphitheater as the human delegation stepped forward. There were only 3 of them, an intentional decision meant to appear non-threatening. Their leader, Ambassador Eli Voss, moved with the slow, deliberate poise of someone who had trained in gravity fields heavier than this one. His eyes, a stormy gray, scanned the gallery of alien dignitaries with the same composure a soldier might show when assessing a battlefield. He wore no armor, no weapons, just a tailored navy blue suit, threaded with adaptive tech, of course, and the symbol of Earth, a stylized spiral of ocean and fire, pinned to his chest. To many of the gathered species, he looked underdressed, to others arrogant. The grand moderator's voice echoed like thunder softened by velvet. Delegates of Earth, you stand before the Galactic Council. State your purpose. Voss inclined his head with rehearsed humility. We come bearing truth, he said, and a warning. A few murmurs fluttered through the chamber, quickly silenced by protocol. Voss waited. He was used to being underestimated. From the first contact beacon Earth had sent, the galaxy's reaction had been uneven, amazement at their unexpected speed, suspicion at their encrypted transmissions, and, most of all, confusion. Why had such a dangerous-looking world remained silent for so long? Now, standing before the greatest powers in known space, Voss intended to answer that question. He took a breath, not for oxygen, there was plenty of that, but to steady himself for the tremor he was about to unleash. By our own classification, he said, voice clear, Earth is a death world. The words dropped into the chamber like a stone into still water. There was a pause, half a second of processing, before a cascade of voices broke out. Shrieks of disbelief from crystalline beings, low growls from carnivorous delegates, and a musical hum of alarm from the aquatics. Even the machine-based entities vibrated in subtle shock, relaying the data across their internal networks for verification. One of the elder counselors, a long-limbed, translucent being from the temperate oceans of Farish 3, raised a hand. Surely, it intoned, this is metaphor. Hyperbole, is it not? Voss remained still. No, it is fact. I am prepared to show you. In the silence that followed, Earth's history began to unspool, not in a dry stream of dates and treaties, but in visceral, brutal clarity. The ambassador projected images and censored data, hollow footage and satellite imaging, all verified by council protocols. Storms the size of continents. Beasts bred for ambush and slaughter. Toxins that could kill in micrograms. Fungi that colonize living bodies. Microbial arms races wage invisibly within every creature, every day. One image lingered longer than the rest. A swarm of locusts darkening the sky over a human city, devouring everything green in their path, while the people below activated flame barriers to hold the swarm back. That, Voss said quietly, was just one afternoon. They watched volcanoes bury towns, tsunamis rip away entire coastlines, sub-zero temperatures paralyze infrastructure, disease names scrolled by like a war memorial, Black Death, HIV, Ebola, SARS, COVID, influenza, names from deep past and recent memory, each paired with estimated fatalities. And we survived, he added, not because we were stronger, but because we were forced to become clever. One of the silicon-based delegates posed a question in binary. Why declare this now? Why weaponize fear? We're not weaponizing anything, Voss said, his voice a shade harder. But you need to understand what we are before you mistake us for something we're not. You expected another peaceful entrant into your union, a benign, slowly evolved civilization. That is not Earth. We were born on a planet that kills without purpose. We rose from predator and prey. We mastered flame to survive winter, built medicine to counter disease, and learned war because negotiation only came after extinction was too great a cost. A new silence crept in, this one different. He could feel it. Not just uncertainty, but recalculation. Some species, he knew, were biologically incapable of lying. Others, like the Krell, evolved in environments so stable that the very idea of predation was a foreign concept. Those were the ones staring at him now, like he was a walking paradox. Voss let the silence breathe. Then he shifted gears. We do not come here with threats. We seek alliance, trade, knowledge. But we will not pretend to be anything less than what we are. The second human, Dr. Marin Ishikawa, adjusted the data stream to focus on resilience. Cities rebuilt after disasters, species protected instead of hunted, the rise of cooperation in the face of planetary instability. Deathworld, she said, doesn't mean we are monsters. It means we were tempered. We were shaped by pressure most of you have never imagined. And the third delegate, Lieutenant Commander Reyes, added the quietest but most potent note. And we're still learning, still dangerous, mostly to ourselves. The council chamber remained still, as if waiting for some cue to resume motion. But no cue came. The weight of the testimony was too new, too vast. One delegate, a chitinous being with glistening mandibles, finally hissed a word in its own language. The translation was chilling. What kind of peace can exist with creatures who survive that? Voss answered without blinking. The kind of peace that respects what we've endured and what we've chosen not to become. The moderator sat forward, hands folded in a motion that signaled official pause. This testimony will be reviewed. The council will deliberate. You will await judgment. Voss nodded. He had expected as much. As they turned to leave, the lights of Earth shimmered in the distance. From this vantage, the planet looked harmless, beautiful, even, but now the illusion was broken. As they passed the rows of alien delegates, some recoiled. Others nodded in grudging admiration. One or two even looked afraid. Voss didn't mind. Fear, he knew, was the most honest beginning to understanding. And far above, drifting in silence, Earth continued to turn, unchanged and unrepentant. The council reconvened 12 hours later, their minds saturated with the shock of the human delegation's revelation. Word had spread beyond the chamber. Dozens of fleets were now streaming secure data transmissions back to their home systems, while embassies began drawing up urgent contingency plans. A Deathworld species had not just survived, but risen. Worse, they had reached the stars with their minds intact and their societies functional, or at least functional enough to arrive here without self-destructing. That made them unique and dangerous. Ambassador Voss stood once again before the dais, this time without any projections, no data feeds, no dramatic footage, just a man and his words. You've seen the facts, he began. Now you need to understand the consequences. Around him, rows of alien delegates shifted in their seats. Many had not slept. Some, like the ethereal Orathen, whose metabolism was built on light rather than rest, simply dimmed their bioluminescence in distress. Others, like the Warwick Warbrood, sat more alert than ever, their claws twitching with fascination. Voss didn't speak with urgency. He let each word settle. There are many kinds of death worlds. Worlds of crushing gravity, toxic atmospheres, unstable tectonics. But Earth is different. It is not one lethal element. It is all of them, layered and relentless. He gestured slowly, not for show, but for clarity. From birth, a human faces microblazed air, predators at land and sea, whether that shifts from drought to flood without rhythm. We are hunted by parasites small enough to pass unseen, and we live on tectonic plates that grind like knives beneath our feet. Our closest relatives went extinct. We didn't. Someone scoffed, softly, but not softly enough. A member of the Verdali, a race grown in artificial Eden worlds. Their voice chimed out in polished tones. You've turned adversity into mythology. Survival is not uniqueness. Many species have adapted to hardship. Dr. Ishikawa, seated beside Voss, looked up sharply. Adaptation is one thing. Weaponization of trauma is another. Humanity isn't just adapted to death. We are shaped by it. We evolved with fight-or-flight responses so intense that even in safety, we dream of conflict. That's why we told you the truth. Because even when we mean no harm, we can terrify those who've never fought for their lives. The room quieted again. Voss picked it up, his voice more solemn now. We've seen what fear does. On Earth, fear built empires, toppled them, lit skies with fire. It can unify, but it also corrupts. And we're aware of how easily that fear could spread here, among your worlds. Counselor Drothel, a serpentine tactician from the ice world of Neventor, coiled slightly forward. Then why come at all? Why not remain hidden until you could match our strength? The human didn't hesitate, because waiting would only make things worse. When you found us, you'd see our world first, not our intentions. Better you meet us now, raw and imperfect, but willing to speak truth. We'd rather walk into your light honestly than skulk in shadows with lies. That line landed. Subtle nods passed through some delegations. Others remained still, eyes, or their species equivalents, fixed on the Earth representatives, as if watching a predator approach the edge of the campfire. Lieutenant Commander Reyes, until now silent, activated a small device on her wrist. It projected a 3D sequence above her palm. Brief flashes, a lion's charge caught by a high-speed drone, a tornado swallowing a Midwest town, a microscopic virus breaching a human lung cell. The sequence ended with a child, scarred but smiling, helping another up from the rubble of a collapsed building. We don't glorify this, she said. We don't come bragging. But we won't let you misread us. Our world forced us to become more than what we should have been. That means we can survive. But it also means we can choose to be more than our origins. From the high seat, the Grand Moderator's gaze shimmered with unfathomable emotion. Do you believe, he said slowly, that your species is safe among us? Or that we are safe among you? Voss didn't answer immediately. The truth was more complicated than any prepared line. Neither, he said at last. Safety isn't the point. Trust is. We came here to begin it. The words weren't eloquent, but they were honest. And in that honesty, something shifted. Counselor Seelery, a being of living crystal from a planet without predation, emitted a musical hum. Our worlds are built on order, predictability. You introduce an anomaly. True, said Voss, but anomalies often reveal flaws in the system. We're not asking you to welcome us with open arms. We're asking you to look past what frightens you and see the potential. Potential for what? The crystalline delegate asked. To adapt, Dr. Ishikawa answered. To learn from a civilization that has had to make peace with chaos every single day. Not all gifts come in neat packages. A silence fell once again, deeper this time, not stunned but reflective. This was no longer the moment of revelation. It was the moment of realization. The council had come expecting curiosity, perhaps tension, but not the raw truth that the newest addition to the galactic community had endured not in spite of adversity, but because of it, that they had weaponized empathy as effectively as any other technology. The Grand Moderator conferred with the secondary adjudicators. When he spoke again, his tone was cautious but clear. The council will enter deliberation. In the interim, your access will be restricted. You will remain under observation, and interaction with other member species will be monitored. Voss nodded. That's fair. Reyes smiled faintly, but it didn't reach her eyes. Ishikawa's hands folded tightly in her lap. None of them had expected a warm welcome. They weren't disappointed. They were patient. As the human delegation turned to leave, voices rose again, but this time in controlled, curious fragments. A question in one tongue. A declaration in another. Alliances were already shifting in the minds of those who watched them go. And somewhere in that vast chamber of stars and ceremony, a new thought emerged, unspoken but shared by many. If this is what humanity is when they come in peace, what would they be in war? The question hung in the air, unanswered. Yet, 3 days passed. The human delegation remained confined within a designated diplomatic suite aboard the orbital station known as Halion Spire, a relic of pre-council architecture built into a hollowed-out asteroid. Though respectful, the isolation was unmistakable. guards posted at all exits, surveillance drones hovering silently just beyond the threshold. Even the air felt curated, too sterile, too measured, like the environment was being tuned for observation rather than comfort. Ambassador Voss paced, his thoughts tightly wound. He hadn't slept more than an hour at a time since their presentation. His mind kept circling the same questions. Were they being studied or stalled? Was the council afraid or calculating? And, above all, had they underestimated the political shockwave they caused? "They're not going to send a reply," Reyes muttered from where she sat, disassembling and reassembling a non-lethal neural calibrator for the third time. They're going to pretend to deliberate while they rally a containment response. Voss didn't argue, not because she was right necessarily, but because she wasn't wrong either. Dr. Ishikawa hunched over her portable databank, looked up. "We may have misjudged something." "What?" Voss asked. She gestured at a rotating holograph of galactic socio-political sectors. Not their fear, their paradigm. Most of them evolved under extremely stable conditions, ecological predictability, minimal conflict, long lifespans. Their risk tolerance is almost non-existent. For them, chaos is pathology. But for us, it's history. Reyes scoffed. "And now we're the pathogen." "No," Ishikawa corrected. "We're the fever. A sign that something's changing." Before Voss could respond, the chamber lights dimmed, then pulse violet. A signal. Incoming delegate. Unexpected. All three stood at once. The doors parted with sound like exhale breath, and in stepped a lone figure draped in cobalt robes that shimmered with embedded photonic threads. Tall, with a thin, angular frame and skin that glowed faintly like sunlit copper, the figure moved with elegance, but not hesitation. Voss recognized the species immediately, Valari, a race known for strict neutrality and deep time memory encoding. "I am Counselor Ensari," the delegate said, bowing slightly. "I was not scheduled to speak with you. My presence here is unsanctioned." Reyes narrowed her eyes. "Then why risk it?" "Because I have witnessed something I cannot ignore." Ensari moved forward, ignoring the tension coiling in Reyes' stance. "Your presentation, it unsettled many, but it awakened something in others." Voss tilted his head. "Such as?" "Curiosity," Ensari said. "Wonder. And a deep, underlying question none were prepared to face. What if Earth is not the exception, but the preview?" That struck a nerve. Voss stepped closer, careful not to seem confrontational. "You think other Deathworld species will emerge?" "I think they already are," Ensari replied. "Scattered, hidden in sectors no one dares explore, or still climbing out of their primordial swamps, fated for fire and flight. You are simply the first to survive long enough to find us." Ishikawa stared. "You're suggesting the galaxy's evolutionary trend isn't stability, it's escalation." "Yes," Ensari said quietly. "And you are the harbinger." There was a long silence. Voss finally spoke. "Then why come alone?" Ensari's voice lowered, softer than before. "Because there are factions already forming. Those who want to embrace Earth, to learn from it, and those who believe you must be quarantined or destroyed. Officially, they wait for a decision. Unofficially, they prepare." Rhea's hand drifted to the back of her belt, a reflex where no weapon currently rested. "What kind of preparation?" "Fleet movements, trade freezes, biological screening protocols." "Containment," Ishikawa murmured. "Worse," Ensari said. "Preemptive defense." That settled like ash over the room. Earth's place at the table was not yet granted, and already there were those reaching for the table's underside to find the triggers. Voss forced himself to stay calm. "What would you have us do?" Ensari looked at each of them in turn. "What you've already done. Be honest, but also be strategic. There's a perception forming that humanity is not just resilient, but uncontrollable. You must show them another side." "Like what?" Reyes asked, voice sharp. "That we're tame? That we won't bite?" "No," Ensari said. "That you know when not to." For the first time since the council meeting, Voss felt something stir behind his practiced diplomacy. The ghost of fury. "We've come in peace. We've been transparent. And still, they see only what they fear." That, and Sorry said gently, is not unique to your species. Silence again. Heavy. Honest. I will try to delay any vote, the Valari continued. But my influence is limited. When the decision comes, it will come quickly. Be ready. And just like that, Ensari turned and left, robes trailing like liquid starlight. No threats, no promises, just a warning carried on quiet conviction. The door hissed shut. The violet light faded. Voss sat down slowly, as though gravity had increased. His mind felt like glass just beginning to crack under pressure. Rhea stood, pacing now. We need options. We don't have many, Ishikawa replied. We were never going to have leverage, only narrative. Then we changed the story, Voss said quietly. They turned to him. We've shown them Earth's worst. The storms, the diseases, the wars. Now we show them why we're still here. The part node data feed can explain. What makes us choose compassion in the face of chaos? What makes us fight to protect instead of destroy? You mean hope? Ishikawa said. No, he replied. I mean meaning. We give them a reason to want us here. And though no one said it, each of them knew the clock had begun ticking, not just for acceptance, but for survival. Far above the galactic rim, a council chamber sat in uneasy stillness. Across star systems, old alliances twisted in new directions. And on Earth, that chaotic cradle of humanity, billions of lives continued unaware, walking beneath the same unpredictable skies that had forged the species now standing on the edge of the stars. The deliberation was coming, but so was something else. Humanity's second message to the galaxy, this time not a warning but a promise. The day of judgment arrived without ceremony, no grand announcement, no horns of unity, just a sudden alert, quiet and efficient, pulsing amber through the diplomatic suite. Council recall. Final deliberation concluded. Verdict pending. Stand by. Voss read it 3 times. Each time, the final 2 words felt heavier. Stand by. Rhea stood behind him, arms crossed tightly, her eyes scanning for implications. Ishikawa remained seated at her console, expression unreadable, though her fingers tapped a staccato rhythm against the screen's edge. The kind of rhythm born from someone who had faced more than one irreversible decision. They'll broadcast the result within the hour, she said. Standard protocol. We're not standard, Reyes muttered. No, Voss agreed. We're precedent. Silence fell over them like a velvet curtain. Then a new transmission arrived, unusual, encrypted, not routed to the council system. Voss glanced at it, hesitated, then nodded toward Ishikawa. She ran a diagnostic sweep, confirmed it wasn't malicious, then opened it. A single message. Choose what they can't predict. No sender, no trace, but they knew who it was. And sorry, or someone acting on the same impulse. Not rebellion, not sabotage, just a raw, unfiltered will to prevent extinction by diplomacy's failure. Voss stood slowly, his heart heavy but clear. Suit up. Reyes blinked. What? They expect us to sit still and wait. We won't. Ishikawa raised an eyebrow. You want to break containment? No, I want to honor it. He tapped his comm, bringing up a pre-recorded file, a short visual sequence they prepared but never submitted. We show them what survival looks like, not what they imagine, what we choose. Let them see us in our truth. Reyes understood first. We make our case outside the chamber. Exactly, Voss said. 15 minutes later. The humans stood on the observation deck, the one place they could access without escort. Behind a transparent alloy barrier stretched the curve of a gas giant, all swirling violets and storm-chased grays. In front of them, mounted on a ceiling rail, floated a council recording drone. It activated the moment they did. Voss began to speak. Members of the Galactic Council, we are aware your deliberation has ended. We do not presume your judgment, but we ask to be heard one last time, not in defense, but in definition. He stepped aside, revealing Ishikawa. Our species is not a paradox. We are not chaos wearing the mask of civility. We are the product of a world that never once offered guarantees, and still we built communities, cultures, empathy. Reyes took over. We fought wars that scarred the land, but we've also sent missions to rescue strangers across oceans, rebuilt cities for people we've never met, and stare down extinction-level threats not with despair, but with invention. Voss nodded toward the drone, stepping closer. You fear what we might become. So do we. That's why we are here, before we become too vast, too powerful, too easy to misunderstand. The drone's light pulsed. They were being recorded. Not locally, live. The council was watching. Reyes drew a small, unremarkable object from her belt. A child's drawing, laminated against the void. A rainbow stretched over a cracked earth. 2 stick figures held hands beneath it. My niece drew this after our planet's last superstorm. We lost half a coastline. She lost her school, her friends. But this is what she chose to draw. Not destruction, not fear, connection. Voss continued. We are not asking to be trusted. We are asking to be known. Because ignorance is the seed of fear, and fear, unchecked, has already ended too many worlds. He looked up directly into the lens. If your answer is no, if we are to be cast out or caged, do so with clarity, not with myth. Know us first, and then decide. The drone powered down. The message was sent. Minutes passed. Then the walls around them shimmered, the telltale sign of internal override. A symbol emerged across every surface. The council seal, refracted through 7 languages. Verdict imminent. No sound followed, just silence. Then, one by one, the council's representatives appeared, not in person, but as hollow forms. The chamber had been extended virtually into the observation deck. Voss, Reyes, and Ishikawa now stood among phantoms of power and precedence. The Grand Moderator's form stabilized. His expression was unreadable, but no longer guarded, not defensive, thoughtful. You have forced us to consider paths we have long ignored, he began. You presented not only the darkness of your origin, but the strength you forged from it. A pause. Earth is, by every metric, a death world. Yet, in its people, we see not only survival, but synthesis, a capacity to endure and to change. He turned to his fellow avatars. By council majority, Earth is granted provisional membership. No cheer erupted, no anthem played, but a stillness moved through the human trio, a stunned, barely breathing pause. Then exhalation. The Grand Moderator raised a hand. Provisional status does not imply immunity. You will be monitored, evaluated, but you will not be excluded. Understood, Voss said, his voice tight. The Grand Moderator nodded. One more thing. All eyes turned. The vote was not unanimous. Reyes stiffened. Opposition? Resistance, the Grand Moderator corrected. A faction believes the risk of your presence outweighs any benefit. They do not accept this outcome, and they will not remain idle. Then neither will we, Ishikawa said evenly. The hollow forms faded one by one, leaving only empty space and the echo of change. Later, as the humans returned to their suite, now suddenly a dignified embassy, Voss felt the weight of everything yet to come settle across his shoulders. They had been seen, accepted, but only barely. That was enough. Earth had spoken its truth. Now the galaxy would learn what it meant to listen.